Thank you, Fiona, for the presentation on the proposed acquisition of Evergirl Fashions, said Janet Seymour. Henry, as our Chief Finance Officer, I know you have been looking into Evergirl. Is there anything I should be aware of before I give the go-ahead with the Evergirl project? Actually, Janet, I have a number of concerns, I replied. As you know, but I think it's worth repeating, Evergirl's demographic is young females in their teens and 20s. They have a large online presence as well as stores in various cities and large towns. They specialise in fast throwaway fashion at rock-bottom prices. They are very popular and the footfall in their stores is among the highest on the high street. I can see where you're coming from, responded Janet. Our customers are in their 40s and 50s, and younger and older, of course, who prefer quality and classic styling and are prepared to pay for it. We are poles apart, but isn't that the point? We have cash that we can invest in a company serving a sector we currently do not serve. There was a gentle murmur of agreement amongst the Seymour's board members. As a fit to our business, what is there not to like? I responded. There is virtually no overlap, and that is the problem. There is very little scope to combine operations to make savings. They deal with different suppliers, and their distribution and marketing requirements are incompatible with ours, and we would need to retain the Evergirl brand. So we will be operating two businesses. Also, I believe Evergirl has structural problems, and the profits from Seymour's will be needed to prop Evergirl up. But hasn't Evergirl been paying higher dividends than the market average? Evergirl was bought by a private equity firm a few years ago. Since then, they have been borrowing from investors and banks to repay the new owner's investment. They also sold and leased back their stores to raise capital. The private equity firm has recovered its original investment and expects to make a profit on the sale of Evergirl. Evergirl now carries significant debt and has large lease liabilities. They are in profit, but there is no headroom to allow for setbacks. A downturn in the economy, an increase in the bank rate, or another pandemic would bankrupt the company. The people who helped build and knew Evergirl have all jumped before the ship goes down. So Henry, what would you do if you were me? If I was in your shoes, I would walk away from the project and invest the cash in expanding our business by opening new stores in high streets and shopping centres in parts of the country where we do not have a presence, and expanding our online operation. Many of our customers are busy professionals and executives, like yourself, who do not have time to travel to another town or even visit a local store. Thank you, Henry. Always meticulous in your work and to the point, said Janet. That was the last item on the agenda, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Henry, could you remain behind, please? The other board members filed out, leaving Janet and I at the board table. I always sat on her right, so I didn't have to move. However, she got up and wandered over to a sideboard and poured out 2 cups of coffee. She knew how I liked it and came back to her seat next to me. The offer well, Henry. Thanks for your advice. I hadn't realised the state of Evergirl and I have decided not to proceed. I will make an announcement later to let Fiona down gently, but that is not what I wanted to talk to you about. Janet had been my mentor and boss ever since I joined Seymour's as a management trainee after completing my Master of Business Administration degree with distinction from the London Business School. My first degree was in fashion design and technology. My mum had a dressmaking business, Alice Somerset Modiste, and I had hoped I could help grow her business, but unfortunately she passed away before I graduated. When a graduate position opened at Seymour's, I applied without hesitation. Mum used to sing their praises. I have been with them ever since, working in all the different departments, including managing one of our stores, and have worked my way up to be Chief Financial Officer, Janet's number 2. Janet is the Chief Executive Officer and Board Chair. She is the 3rd generation to run Seymour's, a firm started by her grandmother and still owned by the Seymour family. During my time, I have seen the firm grow from a regional to a nationwide business. I have been wrestling with a problem for some months now, and when you said, if I was in your shoes, I saw a way forward. Now what I'm going to tell you is strictly confidential. Anything you tell me will not leave this room. I know I have full confidence and trust in you. As you know, I'm in my 60s, but what you don't know is that the family has decided to split my role into 2. This suits me as I want to step back, and it would better for governance of our expanding business, particularly as I will be recommending your suggestion to invest the cash in new stores and in the online business. I will remain the chair of the board, which means I need to find a CEO. Don't worry, I know that the articles stipulate that only a female member of the Seymour family can manage the business. What are you going to do? None of those eligible are old enough to take on the role, unless you have a distant relative I am not aware of. No, I don't. which may be to our advantage. With the splitting of my role there may be a way out. The CEO not only runs the firm, she is the face of the firm and has to be identified with our demographic, typically middle-aged women from the better-off middle classes. If the chair is a Seymour, it may be possible to argue that the CEO could be from outside the family, provided she was a woman. So that would open up to a wider selection of candidates. Do you want me to approach a headhunter? Oh no, there is only one candidate, but I don't know yet if they would accept the job requirements. Can I ask who it is? Yes, of course it's you. But I'm a man, I wouldn't qualify. That depends. Hear me out. I know you are not married and have not had a serious girlfriend, or indeed a boyfriend, since I've known you. You are wedded to your job. Seymour's is your life. Am I right? Yes, I suppose you are. I'm happy living on my own. I do have outside interests, but I never found the right girl, or rather, and I've never told anyone else this, or a girl who thinks I'm the right man. That's a pity, because if any girl did get to know you like I do then, they would see a kind, empathic man who sees the best in others. You are a good manager. No one has ever said an unkind word about you, and you get along well with our customers and suppliers. Well, it's too late to start a family now, if I found the right woman, that is. I'm philosophical about spending the rest of my life as a bachelor, and as you said, I have my job, my passion. What I would like to propose, and I fancy you would have guessed by now, I think I have, but do tell me. If you were to present yourself as a convincing woman, the CEO job is yours. I'm not asking you to change sex or to do anything that is not reversible, but you will have to legally change gender and live to all intents and purposes as a woman. Behind closed doors, you can do as you wish and dress as man. You can resign at any time. I hope you don't. Or when you retire, you can revert and spend your retirement as a man. My instinct was to say no, but I know Janet would never suggest anything that would harm me in any way. I don't know what to say. Then don't say anything. I will give as much time as you need to consider my offer. But I would like to see a new CEO in place in about 6 months' time. If you took a month to decide, it would give us enough leeway, one way or the other. If you decline, you will remain CFO, a position that I expect to grow as the business expands, and I can get the family to agree to a lifetime contract. But as CEO, your remuneration and benefits will be significantly higher, especially if you grow the business like I know you can. You will be at the top of your game, you will be able to retire as a very rich man or woman if you prefer, and you will be able to implement your ideas about expansion our way, or rather your way. I decided not to just say no. I had much to gain, and I know Janet leads a busy and fulfilling life as CEO, attending all sorts of functions, when I just go home and watch TV. Running Seymour's had until now been an unattainable ambition for me, and now it's in my grasp. But only if I agree to wear a skirt. Not just agree, embrace. Janet, I do appreciate you doing this for me, so I won't say no without giving it some thought. I'm so pleased you are taking this approach. To be honest, if you just said yes, I would be worried, because that would not be like you. Think about what you may need to consider, and we will talk tomorrow. I will also give it more thought on how I and Seymour's can help you. Your mind must be in turmoil now. You're not going to be able to concentrate on your work. So why don't you take the rest of the day off and tackle this with the thoroughness you do with any of the tasks I give you? You're right. I'll go home and I will see you tomorrow. I'll have both our schedules for tomorrow cleared, so we will have all day. Your decision will not only be life-changing for you, but could have a major impact on the future of Seymour's and all our employees. When I got home, I got out an A4 pad and drew a vertical line down the middle. I headed the left-hand side CFO/male and the right-hand side CEO/female. I then drew a horizontal line across the centre and headed the top half pro and the bottom half con. A very simple analysis tool, but a good one to start tackling a problem. I then listed out the factors of note that I could think of, classifying under financial, work, social, personal interaction, and gender-related. I underlined what I considered could be deal breakers. It was clear for financial and work there were only positive factors as CEO. A no-brainer, really, but a reminder. Even social was generally beneficial. I had very little social life at present, and as CEO, there was business entertainment, albeit as a woman. Although I wondered what would happen if I met a woman who liked me. Except for one factor, gender was surprisingly neutral, balancing the additional time needed to present as a woman and the less practical aspects of, say, wearing heels, as I saw it, against getting first-hand experience of our products and our customers' needs. The exception was that a man wearing women's clothes didn't seem right. Under personal interaction there were mainly negatives. It came down to two basic worries. What if I was identified as a man, and how would I deal with unwanted interest from men? I decided to sleep on what I had concluded so far. The following morning, Janet put her head through my office doorway. "Henry, come with me, please." We left the building and got into Janet's car. It was in the reserved space next to mine in the office car park. "I'm taking you back to my place. We can spend the whole day there without interruption." I told our PAs just to message us if we needed to be contacted. She headed for the ring road and then took a minor road that headed away from town. We drove through a village and then turned into a private estate. The gates opened automatically and then up a drive and parked in front of a mansion house. This is the Seymour family home. I have my own first-floor apartment on the southwest side. "Come on in, thank you, this place is amazing." We went up a main staircase from the main entrance hall to the first floor. Janet's apartment was just down the corridor. We entered. "Go through to the sitting room," she pointed to a door, "while I prepare us some coffee." I went through and went up to one of the tall bay windows that went from the floor up to close to the ceiling and looked out over a wooded valley at a hangar in its autumn glory on the other side. Hangar, a wood on the side of a steep hill. This is how a CEO lives, I thought. Janet came in with the coffee, and we settled down into armchairs, set in a window bay. "Right, Henry, any thoughts on our conversation yesterday?" Basically, I boiled it down to two main issues, though there is a lot of detail I need to consider if we move forward on your proposal. I told her about my two main concerns. What if I was identified as a man? And what about unwanted interest from men? I have also been giving it some thought on how we could proceed. My first was that too many people know you as Henry, and for Henry to suddenly disappear and a new CEO appear who apparently knows all about the firm would be a dead giveaway. So I thought the best way forward was for you to transition to be a woman while you are still CFO, and when established as a woman, albeit a trans woman, you will be promoted to CEO. A trans woman is generally accepted nowadays, where a crossdresser can be identified as a man and may offend some of our more conservative customers. Of course, you could present as trans but remain a man. Not quite the solution I was expecting, but I can see the rationale and it is quite neat. I can remain who I am, with all experiences and existing contacts, and comply with the family's requirement to be a woman. But I have two red lines: no hormones and no surgery. But as I always say never. You will have to give your explicit consent to any procedure from ear piercing to gender realignment surgery, although trimming your eyebrows and having your hair styled have to be a given. That's reassuring. But what about men? As you know, we have strict harassment guidelines in the office. Besides, you would be the boss. Away from the office, you will be just as vulnerable as any woman. If you were known as a trans woman, you may of course come across those who are just hostile to trans people, but then you would not have the concerns of discovery a crossdresser would have. We can teach you how us women deal with unwanted attention. Well, that leaves the big two unknowns. Unknowns? Yes. Will I look like a man in a dress or a convincing woman? That's going to be easy to find out, Janet grinned. And the second? What if I don't like wearing women's clothes or being taken as a woman, losing my masculinity? I can't answer that, but I promise you can stop at any time if it comes too much and you can't cope. Okay, that's reassuring. I've got much to think about. I intend to go online and look at transgender and cross-dressing research and also high-profile trans women. Yes, of course, but I was thinking of something more practical. What do you mean? Why don't you come and stay here with me this weekend and see what it's like to dress in women's clothing? If you don't like it, or you find it repulsive, then we would have quickly come to a resolution, and we can move on. I was about to ask, can I think about it, but that's procrastinating, not like me. Okay, I'm game. And if it is disastrous, only you and I will know. Great, that's the Henry I know. Would you by any chance know your size? I wear jackets with a 38-inch chest and trousers with 34-inch waist. I am very familiar with our products, measurements and sizes, and I always thought I was the equivalent to a size 16, but I never actually worked it out, or even tried anything on. Actually, I think you may be closer to a size 14. There are a number of factors to consider, but to start, let's just see how you feel. Okay, I'll give it a go, and promise to grim and bear it if I can for the whole weekend. I can't ask you anything more. I don't suppose you have thought of what you would call yourself. Actually, it popped into my head yesterday. Alice. It was Mother's name, and I thought it would be nice to have her once dressmaking business, Alice Somerset, as the name of the CEO of the country's leading quality fashion retail chain. That's wonderful, Henry. I'll stick to Henry for the time being, of course, but we'll call this exercise Project Alice. It will be just between us, just in case we are overheard. Okay, Project Alice, it is. Now let's have some lunch. We are joining my mum in the small dining room downstairs. My niece will also be joining us. The small oak-panelled dining room wasn't so small by my standards. The dining table could seat 12, and there were various display cabinets and sideboards. There were bay windows with views over a formal garden featuring the intricate design of a knot garden. Mrs. Seymour was already seated. Hello, Henry, how are you? Welcome to Valdo House. I'm well, Brenda. And yourself? Mustn't grumble. Brenda Seymour was CEO, or managing director as it was then. When I joined the firm, she interviewed me. She's in her late 80s now. She has always shown an interest in my career even when she retired. She was the epitome of the Seymour family's management of the firm and relationship with their staff. Talking of staff, a middle-aged woman entered the room. She was wearing a plain black dress. Henry, this is Helda, our housekeeper, explained Janet. Helda, this is Henry, my number 2 at the firm. Good afternoon, Henry. I've heard much about you. All good, I hope. She grinned but didn't reply. Brenda, shall I serve, or do you want to wait for Claire? Just then, a woman came rushing in. She was about my age. Sorry I'm late. She turned to me and put her hand out. Hi, you must be Henry. I'm Claire. We shook hands, and she joined us at the table. Helda left and came back with soup and rolls. Sorry, Henry, said Janet. We only have a light lunch. We ladies have to keep our figures trim. But I do hope you stay for dinner. Well, you can't refuse an invitation from your boss. Yes, I would be delighted to stay, but my car is at the office. Claire lives in town. She can run you home, can't you, dear? Yes, Auntie, no problem. It was clear that both Brenda and Claire knew nothing of Janet's offer. Or if they did, they didn't let on. But they were family, so it wouldn't have been an issue for me. The soup was delicious, as were the homemade rolls. Henry, I would like to show you something. Come with me. We went out through the front entrance and turned left and walked down a path until we came to a row of cottages. This building is a conversion of 3 estate workers' cottages into 2 dwellings. If you decide to take up the offer, the larger one will be offered to you as part of your package. You will be able to undergo your transition in a secure place and live whatever lifestyle you choose at home in private. I will be nearby to help, and it will also help get support for your appointment. As living here, you will be like one of the family. That's very generous of you, and it does solve one of my more minor concerns. My existing place isn't that secluded. May I ask, what about the smaller dwelling? That's for Claire, but she doesn't know it yet. What do you mean? I intend to offer you a special advisor to help you through your transition and later support you as CEO. Not the management side, but steering through the trials and tribulations of being a top female executive. I will, of course, be looking after you as well. Surely, she could be the CEO. She is qualified where I'm not. She has no experience and has not shown any interest in working for the firm. However, she is bright and has a degree from Imperial College. I'm hoping we can coach her to take over as chair. When I finally step down, you two would make a good team. You have given this more thought than I first thought. Yes, but it wasn't until you said in your shoes that I made the breakthrough. The tryout after dinner, Claire took me back to the office, and I went home to prepare to come back for the weekend. Janet had left me a sealed bag marked Project A. When I got home, I opened it, and it was a tube of hair removal cream. The reality sunk in, but hair grows back in a month or 2, so no problem really. Although I did wonder if by then I would be pleased if I had body hair again, or would being hairless be a regular thing. The sensation of having no body hair was a feeling I wasn't expecting, and I wondered whether to keep it up, or rather off, if I decided to turn down the offer. When I put on my chinos and a casual shirt, I thought this does feel good. No body hair from now on. I then realised I had inadvertently taken my first step to feminisation. I packed an overnight bag with my toilet bag, shaving kit, sleepwear and a change of clothes, put on a jacket and set off with mixed feelings. I really would like to be CEO, but at what cost to my esteem if I lose my masculinity? All I knew that I would not be embarrassed, other to myself, in front of Janet. We went a long way back. If she wasn't my boss, she would be my best friend, and she was driving it. I left the office late Friday afternoon. Janet had already left, and drove to Valdo House. The gates opened as I drove up. I later discovered they used automatic number plate recognition, and my car was on the list. I followed the drive until I saw the cottages where Janet said she would meet me. As I drew up, both Janet and Claire came out of the smaller cottage. They came up and each gave me a welcome air kiss. Janet had never done that before. "Don't look surprised, Henry," she said. "We're not at work, and consider this the first step in your initiation. Come in and we'll have some coffee. Bring your bag." She went into the larger cottage, and Claire and I followed her. "Go through to the sitting room. It's the one on the left, and I'll bring the coffees in. We will be having supper shortly up at the house. You are expected, of course. We don't dress for dinner, despite the grandeur of the place, unless we have guests. You are fine as you are." "Thank you. It is just us three and Brenda?" "Helda normally joins us when it's just family. You are now an honorary member." "I'm honoured." I went to my bag and fetched a bottle of wine I had bought. "This is a rather good vintage." "Thank you. You're very kind." "Well, I am your guest for the weekend, and I wasn't coming empty-handed. We will open it tomorrow. Now, I have some good news. I may have jumped the gun, but I asked Claire to be your special advisor. And I've agreed," interjected Claire. "It's all very exciting. Over supper Project Alice may crop up, although it is not my intention. We will talk tomorrow, but Mum and Helda are now on board. Obviously, they needed to be if this weekend was to be a success. So nothing to worry about." I had wondered how we were going to keep it a secret. Okay, there are 5 of us in on it now, but it is still a secret project. I have brought some clothes from stock for you to try. It won't be a fashion show. Tomorrow you will just wear a dress during the day. So I will just be experiencing a typical Saturday at home, not playing at dressing up. That's the idea. I want you to experience my life as a woman, not as a crossdresser. Sunday will be much the same, except for the evening when we will just have a wrap-up supper, dressed as you wish, before you head home. Sounds good. What about breakfast? You will join us, although you can fix yourself something in the cottage if you like. We will get you dressed after breakfast. Don't forget, Henry, you can stop at any time and dress as you wish. And you are our guest for the weekend, whatever you decide. I appreciate that. I haven't decided one way or the other yet, but unless it becomes clear Project Alice is going to fail, I'll see the month out. I know you will give it your usual thorough and open approach, as to all your tasks. Now let's go and join Mum and Helda. I'm hungry." We had a pleasant supper. I learnt that Claire had been working for an international NGO that helped child refugees in war-torn areas, and was now back home. Her father was Janet's brother. Janet told me that her brother and sister-in-law would be key to my appointment. The Seymour household breakfast looked magnificent, a spread of hot and cold delights, but I didn't have much of an appetite. I was becoming anxious of becoming a disappointment to Janet if I couldn't hack wearing women's clothes. I was about to find out. "Henry, go with Claire back to the cottage. She will help you change. I'll join you shortly." "Take your time," said Janet. "And Henry?" "Yes," I responded. "If you are still wearing the clothes you have on, I'll be disappointed, but we'll understand," Janet said with a genuine smile. Janet had left the clothes she had brought me at the cottage. "We are keeping it simple today," said Claire. "You will just be a man wearing a dress. A nice simple dress from the Seymour product line. Under the dress I would like you to wear a bra and knickers, but we leave it at that. You can wear those deck shoes you are wearing now." Claire laid out on my bed a plain black contour bra and a pair of control briefs. They were from our Bare Essentials range. Not too feminine, other than the obvious that they were designed for a woman's body. Alongside the underwear was a black wool blend dress, one of our enduring classics. I recognised it immediately. I know everything about the garment except the wearing experience. I'm going to be ticking that box now. I'm sure you don't need any help, it's straightforward. Put the bra on backwards and then twist round before putting your arms through the straps. I'll zip you up if you need help and take off all your clothes. No mixing. I did as Claire instructed. I thought she might have given me something to stuff in the bra. I almost had the zip of the dress fully closed, but she helped. It was strange having someone zip you up, almost a helpless but satisfying feeling. I was now wearing a modest A-line dress that fitted me well. The wool blend material helped. It had a round collar with short trumpet sleeves. The hem of the skirt was a few inches below my knees. The panelled bodice and skirt gave the impression of a more womanly shape than in reality. "With a wig and makeup, you would look less like a man in a dress," laughed Claire. "But you have potential." "What? To look more like a man in a dress?" "No, silly. To look like a woman in a dress. Now, I would like to take some measurements." Claire had just about finished when there was a knock on the cottage door. "Are you decent? Can I come in?" It was Janet. "Yes," cried out Claire. "Surely that should have been my call." Janet came in, looked at me and smiled. "Good, you're dressed. Let's go into the living room and get on with our work. See you later, guys. I'm off into town." Claire quickly disappeared through the door. Janet and I spent the rest of the day discussing my proposal to grow the business. I forgot that I was wearing a dress until Helda brought us some sandwiches for our lunch. I panicked, but she just took it as an everyday occurrence. A man in a dress. I was relieved she's in on it. Claire got back late afternoon. Did you get everything? Asked Janet. Yes, we are all set. Henry, you're off the hook. Claire's parents may join us tonight, but I've not told them anything about our plans yet. Not until we are ready. So it's civvies tonight for supper. I changed out of the dress, bra and knickers too, and got dressed again and joined the family for supper. I hadn't need to change as Claire's parents did not join us. Have you ever wondered why you are our only male employee at the office? Asked Brenda, sipping her after-supper coffee. I have, but it has never been something of concern. To tell you the truth, you would have normally never made it to the short list. Male applicants never did. Surely, discriminating against men is illegal? It is, and we didn't. You are proof of that. What we seek in our employees is a management style that is characteristic of women. We appoint managers who can work in partnership and show a caring approach to our staff, customers and suppliers, as well as having an understanding of the needs of our customers. To ensure that we are fair, the personal details of all applicants are masked during the selection process and are only revealed at the interview stage. With the criteria we apply, most men and quite a few women never make it as they show attributes not in harmony with our culture. Most men and too many young women believe to succeed they must behave as if they were in the jungle. I thought you had all the right attributes to be a successful female manager. If you were a woman, the only man ever to impress me. And I have never regretted it. We are an equal opportunities employer. We only employ the best candidates. For a moment, my pride was hurt. Only for a moment. For if it wasn't for my style, I wouldn't be working for Seymour's. Wouldn't be the CFO and the preferred candidate to be the CEO. I never realised you had seen Henry's potential when he was a young man, and now I want him to be my replacement, though as a woman. You are amazing, Mum. Janet then turned to me. See, Henry, you are a natural to become the CEO of our company and still maintain our tradition of having a woman at the top leading other women. We just need to ensure you are convincing and up for it. You are the best businesswoman in the firm. You just don't look like her, added Brenda. I was taken aback. I still didn't know what to think, whether I should be hurt or proud. Then Claire jumped in. Tomorrow, I will give you a makeover, and then you can experience how it feels to dress and look like a businesswoman and not like a man in a dress that you are today. That's settled then. I did bring home a suitable business suit in the same size as the dress Henry has been wearing. It is hanging in the wardrobe in the cottage, said Janet. It's been a long and successful day. Thank you, Henry, for being a sport, Claire for putting him in a dress, and Mum for the hospitality and your insight all those years so. And now I'm going to wish you all a good night and see you in the morning at breakfast. Brenda said good night too. Claire and I set off to walk back to our cottages. Nobody has actually asked you how today went, Claire asked. How did you feel about wearing a dress all day? Whatever I feel, it seems I'm getting the full treatment tomorrow, I laughed. Actually, once I got over the initial embarrassment and unease, I hardly noticed, especially when I was concentrating on my discussions with Janet or enjoying our meals. Of course, I was a man wearing a dress and women's underwear in the company of friends. You haven't answered my question. I haven't, have I? To be honest, I find wearing a dress comfortable and not a problem. Actually, I'm now of the opinion that a skirt is superior to trousers not only in comfort, but it felt part of me when I moved. Going the whole hog is perhaps another matter. Well, you will find out more tomorrow. We had reached the cottages. Good night, Henry. Good night, Claire. I was still in bed when I heard someone knocking at the cottage door. Deciding it must be Claire, and if not it would be somebody from the house, I grabbed my dressing gown and went down and opened the door. Good morning, Henry, said a beaming Claire holding up 2 bags. Ready to go up a notch? What now? Yes, today you are going to be completely dressed until you're ready to go home. No more just a man in a dress. Go and do your ablutions, a very close shave please, and put on your bra and knickers from yesterday, and then join me in your bedroom. I did as she said, and came out of the bathroom and walked down the short corridor to the bedroom I was using. It did not seem at all strange doing so wearing women's underwear. As I entered the bedroom, I saw a pullover and skirt laid out on the bed. She handed me a pair of sheer black tights. I'll help you. I was glad she offered, as I know from working in the fashion industry, that there is a way of putting them on without damaging them. I took in what she was describing to me and the way she was doing it. I looked in the mirror and was amazed how good my legs looked, hairless and encased in sheer nylon, or whatever they're made of. Put this on. It has an elasticated waist, so it will fit you. I recognise the pullover and skirt as from our range. Like yesterday, more garments that I'm familiar with but never thought I would wear. The skirt was an A-line mid-calf with a floral pattern that was popular with our middle-aged customers that would include me now, and the slim-fit pullover was a simple woolen classic in light blue. I have a pair of the shoes based on the size of your deck shoes. She handed me a black court shoe with medium-height heels. These have 2-inch heels. You will soon get used to them. Try this one on for size. I inserted my foot into the shoe and was surprised how easily it slipped in. It must be the tights. How is it? Surprisingly comfortable. Good. Now try the other one and stand up. I did as I was told. After a little wobble as I adjusted, I was soon standing with ease. Now take a few short steps, slow and steady. I found it easier than expected and soon found myself across the room. Excellent, but don't get too carried away. You've got to go downstairs next and walk up to the house. Don't worry, I'm going to take it one step at a time. I then chuckled. Literally. Claire waved me to the stool in front of the dressing table. I'm going to give you your first makeover. Well, I assume it is, she smirked. I didn't answer, but it will be my first. I sat down with some trepidation. Yesterday, while you were with Janet, I went into town and bought some items that I think suit your complexion and what I hope will become your feminine persona. I watched in awe, except when I had to close my eyes, as she created the face, I must say, of a very passable woman. And now a woman's crowning glory. She carefully fitted and brushed a shoulder-length fair hair wig. Suddenly, I saw a woman in the mirror. What a difference a hairstyle makes to one's appearance. I spent the rest of the day dressed in the skirt and pullover. And you will be surprised I didn't take off the shoes. Janet and I continued our brainstorming session on the future development of Seymour's. I went home exhausted Sunday night. Although I felt relaxed wearing women's clothes and could focus on my discussions with Janet, I could not ignore it. I felt like the elephant in the room, and the wrong room at that. Claire had given me a pair of shoes with higher heels than I had been wearing, along with a couple of pairs of sheer knee-high socks. She wanted me to practice at home, but more importantly, I felt more comfortable today than yesterday. I think it was because I was dressed and looked more like a woman than just a man in a dress. That gave me confidence that this idea of Janet's might just work, and could well enjoy it. I did like the feeling of my legs being encased in nylon, and then there were the heels. I then remembered something about a business suit. Maybe that's for next weekend. Next weekend, back at work on Monday, and it was an ordinary day in the office. Well, almost. I was looking at my colleagues differently now. When I saw them at their desks or going about the office, I would imagine what it would be like doing my job, but dressed like them. Striding across the office in heels, smoothing my skirt as I sat down, taking off my jacket to show off the blouse or dress I was wearing. Coming out of my office wearing a skirt suit, befitting a senior executive to greet a visitor. The thought was growing on me. I could become one of them. Henry, do you have a moment? It was Janet, standing at my open door. Yes, of course. She entered, closed the door and went to sit on one of the sofas in my meeting area. I joined her on the other. So, Henry, is Project Alice still a goer? There's a thing. Yesterday's experience has had a profound effect on me. She looked concerned. I can't concentrate. All I'm thinking about is joining you and the others in a skirt, becoming one of you. But then my male pride comes to the fore, and I become confused. Well, Henry, first of all, don't worry. You are actually focusing on your work. Project Alice is your highest priority. Secondly, can I suggest that this weekend we fully immerse ourselves in the project? That's a good idea. Perhaps I can then finally put it to bed. You may be more right there than you realise. I wonder what she meant by that. I'll ask Claire to get you everything you will need. By the way, her parents will be at home this weekend. As part of the family, they will have a vote, so we need to bring them on board. Briefly, I had second thoughts, but I suppose it will all be in the family, and Janet, Brenda and Claire will look after me. How's the homework going? Asked Claire. I haven't started yet. It was a bit late last night and I had been in heels all day. Fair enough, but I expect to see you have made good progress on Friday evening. Claire will probably have you in high heels all weekend. I quit. Janet smirked in amusement. She knew I was joking. Claire was waiting for me in the cottage when I arrived on Friday. Janet had asked me to leave the office early. Hi, Henry. All ready? No. Too bad, go upstairs and change. I've laid out your clothes on your bed for this evening. When ready, I'll do your makeup, and we'll join the rest for supper. I went to my bedroom and saw the clothes laid out. The undergarments were the same as I wore last Sunday, freshly laundered. I recognised one of our blouses and a skirt. Like last week, more garments that I'm familiar with, but never thought I would wear. The blouse was red silk, with short sleeves and a tie neck. The black cotton poplin skirt had an A-line silhouette and was calf grazing according to our advertising blurb. We also described it as effortless femininity, and I couldn't agree more. When I put it on, it felt and looked feminine with no effort on my part. I was clearly dressed for the evening and not the office. Claire did my makeup, nothing special, but she brought out the feminine in me and brushed my wig. I wore the shoes I had been practicing in all week. "Henry, I'm impressed," praised Claire as we walked across the main house. "I mark your homework 10 out of 10. Thank you. I spent the last 4 evenings walking up and down, including the stairs. I was pleased how I was getting on with the heels, especially as I was now walking on a gravel path and not carpet." We entered the dining room. I recognised Claire's parents, and Brenda and Janet were with them. "Mum, Dad, this is my friend Alice. No wonder Claire dressed me for the evening." "How nice to meet you, Alice," said her mum. "I'm Emma, and this is Claire's father, Tom." "Hello," was all I could say. I wasn't expecting to be called Alice and be Claire's friend, but it works. We shook hands across the table, Helda served supper, and joined us. The conservation was mainly family stuff about their day. "You don't recognise Alice, do you?" said Brenda in her usual abrupt manner, sharpened with age. "You are familiar," said Tom, looking at me, "but I can't place you. Did you know my daughter before she went overseas?" "It's Henry Somerset," butted in Emma. All excited, I recognised him when we shook hands. Or should I say her? I think I better explain. Janet told them all about Project Alice and the discussions we have been having. They seem intrigued and quite supportive. "Well, I think I can speak on behalf of Emma and I," said Tom. "I know you are the best member of the senior management team we have ever had and would be a worthy successor to my sister. I still can't believe that you make such a convincing woman. You have our support." "I agree," said Emma, "but you do need more work, Alice." "And Henry has yet to agree to become Alice," cautioned Janet. "I hope this weekend we can work on her and give Henry the confidence to say yes." They all, including Helda, nodded in agreement. "Tomorrow, we will spend the day together," carried on Janet. "To get to know Alice and welcome her into the family, I've brought back a lovely dress for Alice to wear." We spent the rest of the evening chatting away. I was asked a lot of probing questions, some quite personal, but friendly and good-natured. I know they all knew Henry, but I unexpectedly found joy in being taken as Alice and a woman. "Alice," said Claire as we walked back to our cottages, "don't forget it's total immersion this weekend. Janet and I have got everything you will need, and we expect to see you dressed for breakfast. I'll continue to do your makeup, but you are going to learn to do it yourself." Claire leaned forward and gave me a kiss on my cheek before disappearing into her cottage. When I got to the bedroom, I saw a nightdress laid out on my bed, so that's what she meant by total immersion. I looked at the satin chemise and thought I'm up for that. As I hung up the skirt and blouse next to the black jersey dress, I noticed a new dress had appeared with the label "Wear Me" pinned to it. Alongside was the blue skirt suit Janet mentioned last week, and a cream blouse. Looks like my weekend is sorted. In the morning, I concluded that wearing the satin chemise was sensual yet soothing. If I don't go ahead with Project Alice, maybe I will carry on sleeping in a nightdress. No one would know. The dress was a wrap midi dress with a round neck and long sleeves. It was a paisley design of red, orange, brown, yellow on white. The dress is yet to be added to our product line, but here I was wearing it. I felt special. Ironically, the product group is just waiting for me to give it the go-ahead. Well, it's getting the one assessment I've never given before. I was wearing it. I'll sign it off first thing Monday morning. My real-life test confirms we have a winner. The day went by quickly. I was treated like one of the family, but more noticeably as a woman. Always Alice. She and her. It helped me take on my potential new persona. Much of the time I was being guided in my deportment and behaviour, mainly by Claire, but the rest of the family also pitched in, especially when I was behaving subconsciously like a man. During the afternoon, the sun came out, warming up the otherwise autumnal weather. Claire asked me if I wanted to go for a walk in the garden. Claire put her arm through mine, and we walked mainly in silence. I couldn't remember the last time I had walked arm in arm with a beautiful woman. As my dresser, we were becoming close, but this was different. I wondered if Claire felt the same, or was it just a natural behaviour between two women? Over breakfast on Sunday, I discovered what the blue suit was for. I had dressed in the black dress this morning. "Alice, today we are going to turn you into a businesswoman, smartly dressed and presentable as you will need to be if you take over. After breakfast, go back to your cottage with Claire. She has obtained everything we will need. How you turn out could make or break, but after yesterday, I have every confidence in you and Claire." "Okay, Alice," said Claire when we reached my bedroom. I need you to take off all your clothes, except your bra and control briefs. She stayed with me and started to arrange some boxes on my bed. I hesitated as if waiting for her leave. Come on, Alice, don't be embarrassed. I've seen it all before and you need my help for this next stage. I did as I was told. I thought I might be embarrassed with Claire seeing me in women's underwear, but I wasn't. It just seemed normal. Now, Alice, you are getting the full Monty. You will be wearing a business suit, not a dull one as you would have noticed, but the cut does emphasize the female form, so you need help. She took from a box what I recognized as a waist cincher. It is not something Seymours carry, but with my knowledge of the fashion industry, I knew what it was, and why women may wear them. I think I'll suggest that we should. What better time to sell one when a customer discovers a dress she's trying on doesn't fit? Alice helped fit the cincher and lace it up. She then took out a pair of breast forms. They looked very realistic, and inserted them in my bra. After some adjustment, she said, "There you go, you now have a more realistic female shape." I ordered the breast forms to suit the measurements I took last week. We can also get you into pads to give you wider hips and a bigger bum, but I think, with your now smaller waist emphasizing the hips, that you are perfect, but we will find out once you are dressed. She then handed me a packet with a pair of tights. Put these on. You know how now? And then I'll give you a makeover. Claire went to town, or so it seemed to me. She trimmed my eyebrows, not too much but enough to make a significant contribution to the feminization of my face. She added false eyelashes and spent longer than before in carefully adding eyeshadow, highlighting, contouring and lip colour. Pink, if you're wondering. I've bought a new wig. It is of a higher quality and should also be a better fit. She then, with me holding the front in place, carefully positioned it on my head. The old one tended to rise up. This one does feel a better fit. I looked in the mirror at the finished product and carefully assessed the look that was emerging. The mid-length wig was certainly the crowning glory. Looking back at me was an attractive young middle-aged blonde, younger than me, with a long fringe. I had a shaggy look, but in a nice way. This was going to work, but not if it took me this long to get ready in the morning. I know you know a lot about fashion, but probably not hairstyles. This choppy cut with loose, tousled waves will be easy for you to maintain. You will be leading a busy lifestyle, and if and when you grow your hair out, you will be able to continue the style with the right cut and highlights. It's incredible you've seemed to have decided that I'll be going through with it. This wig doesn't look like a wig. It must have cost a fortune. It did. It's real human hair, of course, and comes from a top-quality wig maker. Janet wanted only the best for you. She really wants you to have the confidence to present as a woman. Now let's get you dressed. You are going to be amazed. She took out the cream blouse that had been hanging in the wardrobe. It was a loose fitting and sleeveless. It was very soft and another of our popular products. The way it draped on me and clung to my new breasts looked sexy without revealing anything. Not that there was anything to reveal. The pencil skirt fitted my narrowed waist perfectly and moulded itself to my hips. The hem was just below my knees. The jacket had a single button which pulled the jacket in to create a flattering silhouette. I've bought you a pair of patent black court stilettos with 3-inch heels. Any lower and you are not to look and feel like the head of a fashion chain. Any higher you will probably find impractical in the office without a lot of practice. The heels are narrower than the ones you have been practicing in. In your new role in the fashion industry, they are de rigueur. I sat down and slipped on the shoes and stood up again and looked in the mirror. If I hadn't seen my transformation take place, I would not have believed it was me. I knew then I could look like a businesswoman, and I kind of liked it. But could I behave like one and convince people? 2 more things, just for today. This pendant of mine is perfect for you in that outfit, and it matches your eyes. She put it around my neck and fastened it for me. It was a blue sapphire gem in a silver setting and thin silver chain. And finally, you also need to smell the part. She sprayed some scent on my wrists and behind my ears. It wasn't strong, but I found it sensual and tipped me further into feeling feminine. Janet will be waiting for you in the main house. Let's go. We'll stick to the paved path with those shoes. As we went through the front door into the entrance hall, there were gasps followed by applause. They were all there, Janet, Claire's parents and Helda. Janet came over and hugged me. I knew it, Alice. You are amazing. This is going to work. I became quite emotional, I don't why, and could feel myself tearing up. This hasn't happened to me since I was a child. I was far from deciding my future, but I did feel proud with what Claire had done to me this morning. She had obviously put a lot of care and thought into my appearance for today. I know it's Sunday, but I thought you and I would go into my home office and spend the morning as two colleagues. Then after lunch we can relax with the family. Or rather, we will put you through your paces. Janet had also dressed for the office to make it more realistic for me. We sat down at her meeting table, and I took off my jacket just as I would have done in the office. Wow, you look stunning in that blouse. If this was a formal meeting, say with visitors, you should keep your jacket on. For a working meeting then, what is most comfortable? Helda kept us supplied with coffee, and Claire popped in every now as if she was a colleague. We did actually work. I floated an idea for one-stop shops located in retail parks or larger premises on the high street, where we would supply everything to complement our current line of clothing, lingerie, shapewear, shoes and accessories. A customer would be able to put together a complete outfit with confidence, I summarised. How did you come up with this idea? I like it. It was last week when I realised the black dress would only fit me with the cincher. If we carried shapewear and corsetry, not only would we be able to sell the dress, but also the foundation for the garment if it was necessary. Just like bridal shops, but for all occasions. It's worth looking into. See, now you are experiencing what it's like to dress like a woman. You are appreciating our customers' needs. During and after lunch, I was put through a series of everyday occurrences and tutored in how to behave. On the whole, I think I did pretty well. We had a wonderful afternoon tea. Tom had gone off to golf, just leaving us ladies. I felt today I could count myself as one. I enjoyed myself gossiping with the family, sitting there in my skirt, blouse and heels. Not once did I think of myself as Henry. The total immersion, and not just wearing a dress, was having a profound effect on me. After tea, I changed back to being Henry and went home to get ready for the office on Monday. Into the public realm the following weekend, we went to the next stage of Project Alice. I went public, as if it were. Janet bought more clothes home from the office for me, and Claire bought additional underwear and some accessories. No expense spared, and the wardrobe and drawers in my bedroom at the cottage was filling up with Alice's things. On Saturday, Claire took me shopping. Janet had brought back a short autumn coat and another skirt, and a cashmere pullover for me to wear. Claire had bought a tote. She said I was going to need it. We enjoyed ourselves. Our new friendship deepened as we spent the day as two women shopping. We bought a pair of knee-high boots, which I wore out of the store, and some more shoes. By visiting the shoe shop myself, we were able to ensure they fitted me properly, and I now had a say in what I wore. On Sunday, Janet, Claire and I went to a local restaurant for lunch. We dressed smart casual. Janet had brought me a pair of trousers. I wasn't sure at first. They were black wide trousers with a high waist. With my cinched waist, a fitted white top with capped sleeves showing off my rounded breasts, I was quite taken aback. I thought wearing trousers would make me look more masculine, but not so. It was all in the cut. If Project Alice was successful, trousers would definitely be part of my wardrobe, as for any woman, but I think my preference will be for dresses and skirts. I was back at work, as Henry, obviously, when Janet called me to her office. Henry, my mother will be 90 later this month, and the family will be celebrating with a party. She is inviting Alice as a special guest. A special guest? Don't worry, not a guest of honour. At family events, the wider family is invited, including partners. If you accept the invite, and it is important that you do attend, then you will be Claire's partner. I don't understand, do you mean as me? As her friend or her actual partner? As her partner, that's what we will tell the guests. You may not know, but my niece is bisexual. The family, well, most of them, would accept you as her female partner. I hadn't realised she was bi, but it did perhaps explain why she has embraced me and my efforts to pass as a woman. Okay, I would be pleased to attend as Claire's partner, but don't you think it's risky? What if it became known I was Henry Somerset? You will be. As you know, Seymour's is a family business, and all the shareholders will be there. The plan is that you will be introduced as Alice. None of them have met Henry. Then later, Brenda and I will sound out our proposal for you to become CEO as Alice Somerset. Their view will make or break Project Alice. We cannot afford to have any dissenters. Do you think I'm ready? Do you? I don't think so. I really have to be convincing, to be a woman in every aspect, albeit with a man's body. That's why you will be working at home from now on. Working at home? Yes, my home. You will be living in the cottage and will use my home office. I will tell the rest of the staff that you are working on a special project and need to get away from the distractions of the office. You will work as normal, but remotely. But you will be Alice. You will dress all the time as a woman, and Claire will work with you to prepare you for the party. I understand. This is going to make or break Project Alice. The experience may be such that I decide I don't want to be CEO under these circumstances, or the shareholders may reject your proposal. I know. That's why I will only ask you to carry out essential duties as CFO unless I need your advice. The rest of the time, you will be under Claire's guidance. One of your first tasks in your role as CFO will be to open a customer account in the name of Alice Somerset at our branch here in town. You will need a party dress, and it will be better if you visit the store yourself, with Claire of course. If there is any problem, then Claire will contact me, and so I can sort it out. You won't have to worry when trying on any dresses. Well, if nothing comes of it, I will still have a better understanding of being one of our customers. That's one of the key benefits of having a female CEO and management team. Now, spend the rest of the day clearing up any loose ends in the office. You will have all the CFO computer privileges from my home computer as well as mine incidentally. And Henry, yes, Janet, feel free to choose any clothes you would like from our shop. Don't wear the blue suit all the time, however good you look in it. Experiment, find your style, your personality. The party was the weekend after next. I was going to dress and work as a woman for nearly 2 weeks. I was unexpectedly excited. I found it difficult to concentrate as I prepared to work at Janet's home. And there was the news that Claire was bisexual. I was becoming fond of her and wondered if I reverted to Henry, would she be interested in dating? I was fairly sure that she liked me as Alice, but I had taken it that she was treating me as a girlfriend, especially as she recently returned from working overseas and needed to build new relationships. I went home and prepared to be away for a few weeks, though I could always pop back. I didn't really need to pack much, just my usual weekend bag. All the clothes I needed were at the cottage. My workload was quite light. I started to wonder if a CFO was actually needed, and Kate generally talked, usually briefly, about work when she got home. Claire was a fair, patient, but relentless taskmaster. She drilled into me the mannerisms I need to adopt. She was very successful. I wondered if I would, without thinking, smooth my trousers and keep my legs together when I get back to the office after the party. Tom was a sport and allowed his daughter to use him to teach me how to interact with men. I was uncomfortable at first, but, I don't know, wearing a dress seemed to break down my natural male reserve. I became comfortable being affectionate with him. Not intimate, of course, more like a dear uncle. Claire and I went into town most afternoons. We had coffee and lunch, but we mainly shopped. Whatever our relationship, we definitely became good girlfriends. Well, woman friends, really. We were both young middle-aged. We became regulars at the Seymour store in town, as well as Marks and Spencer. Dressed as a woman, I was comfortable browsing in M&S's lingerie section. As Henry, I felt nervous passing by all those displays of bras to reach safety in menswear or the cafe. How many different types of bra could there be? I knew the stock we carried in our stores, but I was seeing the various items in a different light as I browsed through the rails. I bought a pencil skirt and a tie blouse, which Claire said I looked more like a secretary than a senior manager, but also some dresses. Form-fitting dresses, which Claire approved and I wore when working, and fuller dresses, often with floral prints, for recreation. I was developing my own styles, elegant and professional for work, but also more feminine and casual. When shopping, I favoured skirts, straight and full, with various tops. I thought I was buying too much, but both Janet and Claire thought otherwise. I think I wore 2 new outfits every day. I was enjoying myself, discovering what being a woman was all about. Well, the fun stuff anyway. As for the party dress, I knew what I wanted. It was only a matter if it looked good on me. It was a cocktail dress, really. We listed it in our product catalogue as an asymmetrical fit and flare. It was a one-shoulder midi dress. The bodice and shoulder were of intricate embroidered lace, and the layered chiffon skirt flared out to a dramatic hem, as our marketing people described it. The colour I wanted was navy blue. We also had a magenta option, but I thought it made me too conspicuous. That's perfect. How did you do it? You just took the first dress of the rail without browsing, said an astonished Claire. I know our catalogue. I know about what works well from my earlier job experience as store manager, and most importantly, you have shown me what suits me. Well, it does. The one shoulder looks, shall I say sexy, without revealing you have no breasts. The close-fitting bodice shows off your breasts. You know what I mean. A narrowed waist and the flared skirt suggests wider hips than you have. And the chiffon gives you a touch of femininity with the way it moves. The only issue we need to sort out are your bra straps. One is clearly on show, and the other could peek from behind that narrow shoulder strap. The dress has a tab to hold a bra strap in place. Then we just need to buy you a bra with a removable strap. Back to M&S. That's what I meant when I floated my idea to Janet. I could have bought a bra on the spot. But first, I need a dress too. I didn't have much call for one working for the Engo. I got the bra, it was quite versatile. I could remove both straps or wear it as a halter neck. I bought a navy blue one in lace. I liked the way it matched the dress, although it wouldn't be seen. We next headed for the shoe shop. I think strappy heels in silver would go with the dress, suggested Claire, as well as becoming a staple in your wardrobe. So Claire is thinking of the future. I'm afraid 4-inch heels are compulsory for you. Any lower and you won't be considered seriously as a potential fashion industry leader. Actually, I'm not afraid. You will look and feel fabulous. I tried on various shoes. I liked the pair we chose very much, but didn't think I could manage, but Claire persuaded me otherwise. They were actually 11 cm, nearly 4.5 inches, and very little to show for the money. The sole was thin, the heels were thin, the single cross strap was thin, and the ankle strap was thin. For me as a man, they were mind-blowing. For me as a woman, they were to die for, and I was determined that I was going to conquer them in time for the party. And I did. The party happy birthday, I greeted Brenda as I entered the house. Thank you, Alice. I'm so glad you joined the party. It's going to be more of a momentous day for you than me, I venture. I'm not sure about that, I replied. Well, look at you in that dress and the heels. If that doesn't convince my family, nothing will. She then turned to Claire. You've done a splendid job, my dear. She looks absolutely amazing. Look after her. Whether she or he will not do any better. Claire was going to stick by me, my chaperone for the evening. The party went very well. At first I was a curiosity. Claire had never brought a friend to a family gathering before, so I must be someone special. Then I became more than that. I was being sought out, and it was clear they now knew who I really was. Generally, I felt goodwill. Auntie and Granny must be sounding the family out on your suitability of becoming CEO, whispered Claire into my ear. She then hugged me, fingers crossed. Before I had a chance to reply, though I wasn't sure what to say, Helda pushed out a trolley with a huge cake, with one large candle. Janet called everybody's attention and helped Brenda blow out the candle and cut the first slice. Thank you everyone for coming and for all your lovely presents. I think I've got enough soap now to see me out. There was some cautious laughter. She spoke some more and praised the great-grandchildren. Then she looked at me. Most of you know by now that I have a special guest here tonight, a dear friend and my one-time mentee. You see her today as an elegant young lady. Well, she's younger than me, but you have all heard of her as our Chief Financial Officer, whose wise counsel and diligence has helped to grow and protect the firm in recent years. You know her as Henry Somerset, and yes, she is a he. Stand up, Alice, and let everybody see you. I stood up and looked around, smiling. I wasn't smiling through joy or happiness. I was terrified of what they were thinking. It was a large family, but the room wasn't crowded, and I felt very conspicuous. First thing you should know is that Henry being here as Alice is all my daughter's doing, but with my full support. She wants to stand down as CEO and focus on being board chair. Splitting the roles will be an improvement in good governance. But who will replace her as CEO? Well, the best and only candidate in my and Janet's view is Henry. However, there is a problem. The family tradition is that the CEO and face of Seymour's has, and should always be, a woman. So Janet, my mischievous daughter, persuaded Henry to present as a woman to assess his potential and willingness to lead the company as a woman. You can see today that Alice can be very much that woman, although to be fair, Alice, or should I say Henry, although willing to be CEO, has not yet agreed to step into Janet's shoes. Now I'm exhausted, and I need to sit down while Janet will lead a discussion on whether we the family supports her proposal. Come on, Alice, we need to leave so they can talk about you. Claire took my hand and led me out of the room and into the sitting room. I sat down on one of the sofas and she joined me. Do you know what you did just now? No, I just sat down next to you, sorry. But you were holding my hand. You let go of my hand, smoothed your skirt as you sat, and then arranged it nicely before grabbing my hand again. Did I? I looked down at our beautifully manicured and twined hands. I noticed my nails were just that bit longer than hers. Yes, you did. You did without thinking. Such feminine behaviour has become second nature for you. Well, I had a good role model. Nervous? Yes, I replied. It's one of the strangest job interviews I've ever been to. Actually, that's quite meaningless. I've only been to one interview, and that was to be a management trainee at Seymour's, and look where it led me. My little joke did help to relieve my tension. I have decided I want the job and am prepared to live as Alice, thanks to all your help. But now I'm nervous. I'm not woman enough for them. You're woman enough for me. She leaned over and kissed me briefly on the lips. I felt a wave of emotion and a stirring in my groin. I'm still a man where it counts. I turned my head, moved forward and returned the kiss, and she responded. I wondered what we looked like. Two middle-aged women making out. We sat there for about half hour before Janet came in. Oh, look at you two. We were no longer kissing, but were sitting very close to each other. How did it go? Asked Claire, much to my relief. I was too afraid to ask. Not good, I'm afraid. As my heart slumped, it finally sunk in that I really wanted it, not just to be the CEO, who wouldn't, but to be Alice. I'm sorry, said Claire, tearing up. I just didn't do a good enough job. Oh, no, you need an excellent job. In fact, it was suggested that. She turned to me. You continue as CFO, but as Alice. Then Seymour's would once again have an all-female management team. Then, what is the problem? Claire was getting quite agitated. I was looking on the bright side. Maybe Janet would agree I could go back to the office as Alice. Nothing with Henry being Alice. Even when they were told that Alice wasn't a biological woman, she is accepted as a woman. The issue among a small minority of more distant relatives was that she is not a Seymour, a family member. I expect that was to keep open their own or their children's chances to lead the firm, opined an angry Claire. If they are good enough, then that is not a problem. But there is no one with the right abilities needed today, except you, Claire. But you don't have the experience, nor the ambition, responded Claire. This is what I'm going to do. I will remain CEO, formally that is, and Henry, or Alice if she prefers, will take on more of my responsibilities with a commensurate increase in pay and benefits. When conditions are right then, I'll step down. What do you think, Alice? For the past week or so I've been Alice, and still am. I waved my hands, drawing attention to my beautiful dress, and I want to stay who I am now. If I can do that as CFO, or your deputy then, all the better. I love my job. I love working with my female colleagues. And if I can become one of them, better still. And Seymour's is my life. I'll make a recommendation to the board that Alice Somerset is appointed Joint Deputy CEO and CFO. In the meantime, you can continue to live and work here until you are ready to return to the office. Thank you. I would like that. Claire, can you continue to support Alice? You've done a splendid job, but there is more to do if Alice is to be accepted. Of course. But before you make any announcements, I have an idea. But give me a little time. You have until the next board meeting. Thank you, Auntie. Janet went back to enjoy the party. Alice, let's go back to the cottages. I want to talk to you and I don't want us to be disturbed. We walked back to the cottages hand in hand and ended up in my sitting room. I opened a bottle of wine and we settled down on one of the sofas. I didn't see you drink at the party. I did have some celebratory champagne, but I wanted to keep a clear head. I don't want to fall off these heels, I laughed. With all the practice you are doing very well, you just walked back from the house and you are still wearing them. I couldn't get mine off fast enough. I had a good trainer, one of the best. Don't you mean the best? Of course I do. How was tonight? Any regrets? Well, I wish I had worn the magenta dress. Is that all? Well, I don't think it is a regret, but your grandmother and I were the only women not wearing a low-cut dress. Claire burst out laughing, not at me, but with me. Oh, Alice, you're a treasure. So do you want to be a woman, or just dress like one? I don't want to have the operation. I'm still a man, and I'm not gay, but I have come to love the clothes, looking like a woman, and being treated as one. Today has been the best day of my life, wearing such a beautiful dress and elegant heels, being one of the women, and identifying with them. Despite that some did not support you becoming CEO, it was disappointing, I have to say. But otherwise I'm accepted for who I am now, and I have the opportunity to live and work as a woman. Something a month ago I would never have imagined. All down to your aunt's vision and your magic. I waved my magic wand and turned a handsome man into a beautiful woman. But not as beautiful as you. I took her in my arms and kissed her. It wasn't long before we had dispensed with our dresses and were in bed. Saving the day when I woke up in the morning, Claire was cuddled up to me. She opened her eyes and said, "Hi, good morning," I replied. She was wearing nothing, and I was only wearing my bra, forms still in place. After taking off our dresses, I don't remember what happened next. Well, I do. Of course I do. I mean the taking off our clothes. Claire took my hands still lying next to me, and then, out of the blue, said, "Will you marry me?" I replied immediately, "Yes, oh yes." An hour or so later, I've no idea. I got out of bed. I didn't want to, but I needed to. "I think we should talk." "We should," she replied. The heating wasn't on. It was too early. So we decided to get dressed so we wouldn't catch a chill. We are not as young as we used to be. It was too late for breakfast up at the house, so I made us some coffee. "Thanks, love," she said as I handed her her coffee. "You'll make a wonderful wife." So did we just get engaged? I know I haven't bought you a ring yet, but yes, of course. You're not backing out, are you? No. I've only known you for a month, so it's all so sudden, but I have fallen in love with you, and until yesterday evening when you first kissed me, I had no idea that the feeling could be mutual, especially, that you've become Alice. Yes, it does seem to complicate things, sending out the wrong message. It wasn't the wrong message as far as I was concerned. First, let me tell you something about myself since you haven't asked. I didn't want to pry. At school and university, I only ever had girlfriends, and I thought I was a confirmed lesbian. I liked the gentle company of a woman and was disgusted with the testosterone-fueled behaviour of men. Spending my time with lesbians influenced my way of thinking. On graduating, I got a job with an NGO, working in war-torn countries providing aid to displaced refugees. I rarely saw another woman, and if I did, they were wearing a hijab or similar, or even a burqa. So back at camp, I found myself socialising in mainly male groups. After about a year, I changed sides, as if it were, and became very close to another aid worker, a New Zealander called Jason. He was not like the stereotype image I had of a man. He was kind and compassionate and went the extra mile to help refugee children. We often talked about getting married and buying a small holding on South Island. Then one day, Jason was killed by a roadside bomb. I'm so sorry. It's okay, it was something we lived with. I didn't want to lose anyone else, so I avoided close friendships. I stayed on for another decade, moving around to wherever I was needed, until one day I narrowly escaped being killed by a drone. The NGO's management, on the advice of a trauma counsellor, sent me back home. I arrived just in time for Project Alice. Auntie Janet, who knew of my history, thought that I would benefit from helping you become Alice, knowing that I wouldn't be prejudiced. I agreed as I had nothing else to do. I'm so glad I did. So you want to marry me as I can be like a girlfriend and a boyfriend? Not really. I want to marry you as the kind, considerate person I rapidly fell in love with. If you are going to live as a woman, that's just the icing on the cake. How can you be so sure? We've only slept one night together. We've spent a lot of time together, especially this last fortnight, and I have seen you in your bra and knickers. Well, the first and only person to have that experience. But why now? Naturally, I would follow the path that society expects, but there is no time. I want my future wife to be my family firm's CEO. I suddenly saw the light. You mean by becoming Mrs. Seymour, as your wife, I will become a family member and eligible to lead the company following the family's tradition. She took my head in her hands and planted a kiss on my lips. Yes, so I will be the wife in our relationship. Yes and no. You will be the bride at our wedding. I know you well now. You will love wearing a wedding dress and lingerie. Once married, you will go out to work as the businesswoman you will become. And you will be the housewife? I can't see that. You're right. I want to set up a charity, the Seymour Foundation, to provide clothing for those in need. I've been discussing the idea with Granny and Auntie. That's a wonderful idea. We could develop suitable clothing instead of just sending inappropriate fast fashion. See, we are a team. But to get back to your question, to the outside world, we will be two wives, but in bed we will be husband and wife. Do you want to go upstairs and play happy families? She hit me with a cushion. Not yet. I want to tell Auntie and Granny our news. What happened next? Janet and Brenda were delighted for both of us, and, of course, for Seymour's. The family supported my promotion as Claire's wife, and the board approved the separation of the role of chair and CEO, and I became the CEO. We got married 6 months later. There was so much to organise, but at least we did get a cooling-off period, not that it was needed. Claire became Mrs. Claire Seymour Somerset, and I Mrs. Alice Seymour Somerset, but at the firm I was just plain Alice Seymour. The rest of the management team were delighted that I had crossed the floor, as if it were, and become one of them. Seymour's image was maintained as a female-led fashion business. We set up the Seymour Foundation and a non-profit company to develop and manufacture practical clothing for distribution as aid. We set up factories and workshops in the regions where the aid was needed to provide much-needed work, reducing the pressure to migrate. Part of the financing came from a special line, branded Somerset garments in honour of my mum. Claire became pregnant, much to many people's surprise. We were expecting a girl, but we didn't know whether she would one day become CEO of Seymour's or the Seymour Foundation. Whatever, I looked forward to being one of her mothers. By the way, I nearly forgot. I can now wear low-cut dresses. Claire insisted I had implants. Hormones were a no-no. She missed fondling her partner's breasts. I discovered the joy of having my breasts fondled.